Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Off Bend podcast. I am joined here today by not only Carson, but also Marshall. So thank you, Marshall, for coming out. We'll introduce Marshall in just a second, but firstly, I want to acknowledge our 5-week hiatus. So one thing you'll notice if you're watching on video that Carson and I both have microphones like visibly in frame now, which is not something that you would be used to if you're a longtime viewer. And by long time, I mean like 2 months. But we have upgraded our mic setup, so hopefully we sound a bit better. This is something we've kind of been acknowledging through all the episodes, was that we wanted to progressively upgrade our equipment, and it's expensive stuff, so it's going to be definitely a progressive thing. But this was one thing we definitely wanted to address. I was on a Blue Yeti mic, and Carson was on a Blue Snowball, and those were good maybe 15 years ago, but I think we needed something new, some upgraded Shure microphones, and I think hopefully we'll sound a lot better. Still not, top tier producer quality, but, definitely a step in the right direction and hopefully a meaningful difference. But that's one reason we wanted to step away. Another reason was that we just had a lot of travel and stuff going on, conflicting schedules. It was hard to find an hour where we could sit here and video call for an entire day. And especially on the weekends, time gets crunched and compressed. So we appreciate everyone's patience, and we're glad to be back. So moving on, we'll go ahead and introduce Marshall, and I'll give him a second to introduce himself as well. But just a little bit of background. Marshall is our co-head of production at Offbend. He kind of handles the logistics and operational side of things. He's awesome. He's the best of the best in the biz. He's going to be our producer on High Stakes, and yeah, he's based out of Atlanta. He's worked on a lot of cool stuff, and I'll let him kind of expand on that, and then we can get going.
Sure. Thanks, Hayden. Thanks, Carson. Happy to be here. Excited to be here. I know it's been a long time in the making. A lot of and so it's nice that it worked out. I'm Marshall. I work for Offbend. I work with Offbend, and we're on the road to High Stakes. Like Hayden said, I'm based out of Atlanta. I work pretty frequently in New York still, and Louisiana every now and again, but the East Coast is my main world. I grew up in, I don't know if we're allowed to say this. I don't know if we did say it yet. I grew up in Texas, so I'm excited to go back and shoot High Stakes in Austin on my old stomping grounds. If we're not allowed to say it, just clip it out. I don't know what the reveal is yet, but that's one of the blessings of being involved with this team, is that it's Texas based, and so I get to do what I've grown into, but also get to go back and do it where I grew up. It's really cool stuff. I'm happy to be here. Happy to chat about the news for a little bit, the film and TV news with you. Yeah.
No, we're super excited to have you, and like you said, it's been a long time coming. We've been asking him to come on for since the second or third episode, but it's really difficult to get the schedules to align, not only with 2 people, but with 3 people, especially, and sitting here just chatting it up for an hour. So again, thank you, Marshall, for taking the time out of your busy day to talk to us. But yeah, so as usual, guys, we're going to go ahead and move into our industry news segment here, our rapid fire. So the way we're going to do this is Carson is going to cover a headline. I'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into said headline, and then Marshall, if he has any notes, can kind of add those on afterwards, and we'll move through these. We got a good amount for you. There's been a lot of news since we last spoke. So yeah, without further ado, Carson, go ahead.
Yeah, so on July 9th, SAG-AFTRA wins new video game pack.
Yeah, so 95% of the members ratified a 3-year deal with a 15% day one raise and mandatory consent and disclosure for AI voice and likeness use. This ends an 11-month standoff.
That's good stuff. I think the consent is a big thing there, because AI is a living, breathing thing in our industry now, and making sure that there's specific guidelines on how people can consent and allow their voice to be used is the only way forward. That makes sense.
Yeah, the next one is Jurassic World Rebirth stomps July 4th box office.
Yeah, so it had a $147 million domestic over the 5-day holiday, and it's already at $529 million worldwide, 9 days in, probably higher than that now as of recording. Only had a $180 million budget, which is on the low side for, a blockbuster like that. So pretty impressive.
That's pretty crazy. That's it's going to be another $1 billion movie
every time. It makes no sense, to be honest.
People love it. I mean, that's people's favorite movies from when the first one came out to today. So it's, if there's IP to be made, that's the IP to make.
True that.
The next one is James Gunn's Superman lifts off with record previews.
Yeah, so that came out, it's July 13th now. That came out on the 10th, technically, with the Thursday night previews. It grossed $22.5 million on that Thursday night. It's already tracking 115 to 120 U.S. opening this weekend, and then a $210 million global. So it's clearly got legs, and I've heard good things about it. And spoiler alert, we're going to be covering our thoughts on it later in this episode.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things. I've heard bad things too, but the bad things I've heard seem from sources that I don't think I would trust about their opinions on movies. It seems to become politicized in some ways, so I'm not sure. I'm excited to check it out.
The next one is Brad Pitt's F1 races passed 350 million worldwide.
Yeah, so this movie totally caught me by surprise. When I first saw it, I thought it was going to be a direct-to-streaming release on Apple TV. I didn't realize they were going to theatrically release it because Apple notoriously doesn't like to do that. But they finally had their first bona fide theatrical hit, and within 2 weeks, it had a global cumulative of $358 million on just a $250 million budget, which isn't small, but it's clear that they're going to soar right past that and make their money back. And it's clear that, you know, there will be a Formula 1, 2, or however they decide to title that.
F1-2, baby. Yeah, that one, this one was, from what I remember hearing, I had some friends that worked on it, and they were telling me that it was really challenging because it shot during the up to the 2023 strikes. And so they had to press pause on production, and then they missed the Vegas race, and then they had to circle back to it somehow. And then so having it be at this point, and you know, it's who doesn't like race cars and Brad Pitt, it's going to be a huge hit. But yeah, it had some challenges. So it's nice to see that they were able to pay those problems to solve themselves.
Absolutely.
The next one is Amazon folds Freevee into Prime Video, announced on July 8th.
Yeah, so this one's kind of interesting. Amazon had already started supporting ad-supported streaming. Prime Video, you obviously have to have a Prime membership, but I mean, A, most people already have one just because they use it for other things. And B, I don't know a lot of people that are using Freevee without a Prime Video membership, even though that's kind of the whole appeal. You don't need to have one. But the ad-supported catalog will kind of just live inside Prime Video now by August. And then, you know, Freevee will kind of just sunset entirely, won't exist anymore. It's interesting, though, because there's some implications there with how people kind of release and distribute, you know, their smaller projects and stuff like that.
We're one step closer to going back to cable.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It makes sense.
The next one is AMC adds 50% off Wednesdays.
Yeah, I'm all for this. Now, it doesn't really affect me that much because I am a Stubbs A-list member, and I'm proud to flaunt my status there. So I will be seeing my 4 weekly movies for one low monthly price, which isn't so low anymore. They actually just raised it. It's I think like $26, $27 a month now. But I mean, one ticket. I was looking at the Superman prices, $22 for one ticket. I mean, it's pretty close. But you know, Stubbs members, the free Stubbs members, will now get half price tickets 2 days a week, adding in Wednesdays. So this is obviously, you know, they want to get more foot traffic in the door. It's been harder and harder as time goes on. They're realizing that, you know, the pandemic might have caused some lasting damage in how people perceive the value of the theater. I think there's some inklings that it's coming back, and you know, the theaters can't do it all by themselves. The studios and the creators, they have to put out good content that brings people there. So, but AMC's doing their part, I think. I mean, I know it's a hard business model and the pricing is never going to be ideal. There's also probably a little bit of greed in there, but you know, who's to say? I haven't looked at their books, so I don't know. But I know that their stock has had some trouble and everything. I love the theater. I hope the theaters survive. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it's a great call. I went to the theater last Wednesday because of that. I was going to go anyway, but I took advantage of it on Wednesday and saw all the materialists, which was great. But yeah, I mean, me and Bren went. It was like less than $20 for 2 tickets, and I have a little stock. I got a free popcorn. I was out of there for under $40. It was perfect.
When we went to see Sinners, we were all in Atlanta together. I was gonna buy like this little combo that was like a hot dog, a popcorn, and a drink. And I asked like, how much was that? Because they didn't have the prices up there. This guy looks at me dead in the face and was like, $45. I was like, no, I'll just have a popcorn.
It's crazy. Regal, on the record, Regal, too expensive.
Oh yeah,
It's too expensive across the board, man. They don't even have the recliners, and you're charging me $50 for a hot dog? No way.
Sit in a 90-degree angle the whole movie. That's crazy.
Yep.
Hey, the Regal in Greenwood, they got the recliners. You gotta come up to Indiana.
Yeah, because I mean, here at the Regal at the Atlantic Station here in Atlanta, they have a theater with recliners, and you can get like a free popcorn and a free drink, but it's like $30 for the ticket. That's just not, the value's not there. I guess it is if you're going to buy a drink and a popcorn anyway, but it just seems so high. That's my opinion for the day.
Agreed, 100%.
The next one is, it kind of aligns with what we're doing with high stakes, but Texas supercharges film incentives. It was signed on July 9th.
Oh yeah, this is a big one. We've been tracking this one for a while. It's been on our radar for a long time. We have announced it, so it's not secret news. But High Stakes is moving production to Texas, in large part due to what these incentives unlocked. So initially, we were planning to go to Louisiana. There's a few reasons for that. A being Marshall has some roots there. He has some connections and people that he knew would be willing to help us out and navigate this space and everything like that. So obviously that's a big piece. But also their film incentives are pretty good. I mean, I would say I'm not entirely attuned to the whole ecosystem as far as the entire United States, but I do know that, you know, some states are far better than others. There's some reasons we ended up choosing Texas. One was obviously the grant rebate instead of being like a tax credit that just reduces your liability. If I understood that correctly. So it's a little bit different form of incentive, I guess. And then also the incentives, they're stackable now all the way up to like 40 something percent. So that's really incredible. And the criteria to get to that point, they aren't unreasonable. You know, if you're doing a Texas-based production, a lot of the things in there are kind of just baked into what you're already doing. You know, there's some in there that's like, okay, you got to be intentionally doing that, right? But like there's others that's like, you could easily loop that in, like hiring veterans, for example. That's not going to be a difficult thing to do, and you know, it's a good thing to do for one, and for two, it's like, you know, there's obviously upside for the production itself just for doing that. That's just one example, but this is awesome. I'm super happy about this.
It's huge. I mean, it's one of the best incentives in the nation now. It puts Austin's already been it's. Austin is the live capital or live music capital of the world, self-proclaimed and believed by myself and many. You know, it's huge in the arts, and it always has been. In the late 20s, early 2020s, there were like a bunch of actors that were finally starting to get their legs, making a career there, you know, whether it be through theater or commercials and stuff like that. So being able to shift, there's already a base there for talent, which is a huge first step, because that's where money goes. There's a crew base that's getting there, and in the new incentive, I think right now, before the current, like the most recent incentive that's voted, so like what's in effect right this second, you have to have like 50% local crew to be accepted for the incentive. That is not really possible in most places in Texas right now, because not that many crew members live in Texas right now. And so it's a graduated, I think it starts out at 30 or 35% and then increases up to 55% over the next few years to qualify for the incentive. So it's focusing on hiring locals, creating a base in the state, bringing the infrastructure to Texas. You know, I grew up right in the middle of I-5, and right now, just from talking to I'll call my dad and talk to him about what he sees, and there's sound stages going up everywhere from on the I-35 corridor, from Dallas to Texas to Austin to San Antonio. Like, it's a huge push, and I think it's going to do great things for the economy and the space. It's going to be really, really nice. While we're talking about Texas, just my heart and thoughts go out to everybody that's been impacted by the floods right now.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, all my friends in Kirk County, prayers with you. I know it doesn't do much, but thinking about you.
Yeah, I was going to mention that towards the end. I'm going to link a GoFundMe that is related to the Kerrville, Kirk County floods, and helping the families and all those affected by that, in the description for all these podcasts, wherever it's posted. And then I'll also verbalize and share the link on the pod in case you're just listening and you want to write it down or something like that. Help out. This is a really tragic situation, super unfortunate. And I obviously live in Texas. I don't live that close to Kerrville, but you know, Texas is a very big place, but it's small in a lot of ways too. So it's definitely, my heart goes out for that. And yeah, but please help out however you can. We'll make sure that we put that link in the description.
Absolutely.
So moving on, guys, we're going to go ahead and play our game of the day. Today we're playing Movie Chain. So I'm going to start by naming a movie. We're going to go in a circle. So the next person in order will be Carson, and then Marshall, and then back to me. The way that this game works is I'll name a movie. Carson will then name an actor that was in the movie. After that, Marshall will name another movie that actor was in. And then after that, I'll have to name another actor from that movie, and then it just repeats. And Carson will name a movie, so on and so forth. Pretty self-explanatory. And whoever stops first loses. I'll have to figure out, what the punishment is on that side. Maybe they have to slime themselves or something next time. But we'll see. So my first movie is going to be, let's see. I'm going to pick a good one here. I'm going to pick an easy one, actually. I'll give you as an easy one. Interstellar.
Matthew McConaughey.
I can't think anything. But wasn't he in Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Oh, God. I have no idea who's in that movie.
I think he was. I'm so bad at on the spot. I'm pretty sure that's it. This is going to be, I'm going to Google that just to make sure. I'm so bad at this, man.
We didn't even make
Dallas
it 30
Buyers
seconds.
Club. Dallas Buyers Club.
Man, I don't know who's in that movie either. I'm going to throw a
The Wolf
lifeline
of
here.
Wall Street.
I know that one. Okay, I can do that one. Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay.
Titanic.
You're supposed to say an actor.
Oh,
or
okay.
actress.
Okay. What movie did you say, Carson?
Titanic.
Titanic. Man, who plays his wife in that? His girl, the Rose. God.
Yeah, I'm blanking on her name too.
Oh,
I know.
man.
It's Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Bro, what?
Come on,
I've
you got
actually
this.
I've never seen that.
The main guy. He's literally the main guy.
I've never seen the movie, so I don't know.
He wears a mask and he turns green in another one of his movies, and he's like, "A Tommy gun,"
I know who you're talking about. I'm blanking on his name.
He plays the Eggman in the
Yes.
Sonic movies.
He's the Grinch.
Name
Yes.
rhymes with Bim Berry.
Bim.
Why can I not think of his name?
Bim.
This is terrible.
Fun fact about him, he really enjoys using stevia to sweeten his tea. He carries a little squeezy bottle of it.
You know what's one of his good movies is The Truman Show. That's a good movie.
It's a great movie. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. It was on the tip of my tongue.
That's crazy.
The Mask.
Oh, okay. Cameron Diaz.
Damn, what is she in?
She's in a lot of stuff, but a lot of like random stuff that you wouldn't really know about, to be honest. Well, I know what she's in. A movie that you would know, Seth Rogen movie, where he's like a billionaire and he plays a superhero and he has a sidekick named Kato. Okay, you clearly don't know. The Green Hornet. And Carson is the biggest loser, everybody. Yeah.
Let's try it again.
Okay. What's a good movie that one that has plenty of people? Avengers Endgame. Take your pick.
Mark Ruffalo.
Of all people, why would you choose Mark Ruffalo?
Man,
That's just the first name that came to mind.
he was an Ant-Man.
No, I don't think he was in it, man. No.
Hulk 1.
Okay.
The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, Edward Norton. No, he wasn't even in that movie because that was Ed Norton.
Man, Mark Ruffalo. Man, this is embarrassing. Man, Robert Downey Jr. We'll go with that one instead. He is in. Man, what is Mark Ruffalo in? I lose. I can't think.
He's in Now You See Me.
He is in Now You See Me,
And then
Now You See Me Too, with Jesse Eisenberg.
I'll run that. That's what I'm about to say. Jesse Eisenberg.
There we go.
Was it Zombieland?
Zombieland.
He is in Zombieland. That's an
And
easy
that
one.
has why the hell can't I think of his name?
Matthew McConaughey's brother.
The other Texas guy. I was just talking to a casting director about him the other day. I'm feeling the pressure right now.
The pressure's
He's named after a Toy Story character, or maybe not named after, but he has the same name as the Toy Story character.
I used to get him and Michael Rooker mixed up.
I could see it.
They look so similar. I
Yeah.
actually thought Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson is in Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
There we go.
I threw you a bone here, Carson. If you don't get this, it's totally on you, man. Movie came out like 4 years ago.
I'm trying to think of, is Spider-Man in that one or no? Is it just Venom?
Have you ever seen a movie before, dude? Jeez.
Bro, I don't think I've seen any of the Venoms, so.
No, he's not. Spider-Man is not in the Venom movies.
Well, Venom was in one of the Spider-Mans, so.
Venom was
That's
in
tough.
Spider-Man 3, but he's not. It's not the same Venom. I'll give you the one here. Tom Hardy. Okay.
Damn, I was gonna say that, dude. God.
Oh, yeah,
Tom
really?
Hardy. Cut that out. Tom Hardy. What's in Tom Hardy movies?
He has a lot. I can tell you one off the top of my head that's super easy. Marshall. Let's see. What's the famous line that he
Tom
says?
Hardy did.
You merely
He
adopted
recently
the
did.
dog. I was born in it.
Oh, but I'm thinking something new. He recently, what was it? The Bike Riders.
Okay. Yeah, Austin Butler.
What is it? The Elvis movie?
Yep.
Elvis. God, I didn't watch that. My brother-in-law watches it like 2 times a month, though. He loves it. He doesn't even like Elvis. Man, who was in that? Austin Butler, and then the lady that played Priscilla.
There's a really big guy in there, like huge actor. He played the Colonel. Older guy,
Yeah.
but he's been in tons of stuff. His name rhymes with Bomb Banks.
Oh, Tom Hanks.
And then Tom Hanks is in Forrest Gump.
Shout out.
Man, who's in that?
I might have just made that a little difficult because there's not a lot of well-known people in that. I mean, there's a good amount, though. I can think of one guy off the top of my head that you would probably not know, but he sees dead people is all I can say, which sounds super weird out of context, but it makes sense if you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm blanking.
Okay, well, I think after the third fail here, we're going to have to say Carson is officially the biggest loser.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And
I would have guessed probably Gary Sinise.
yeah, he's in it. The one that I was thinking of was Haley Joel Osment, and then I would have said the Entourage movie because he's in that, and then I can talk about everybody from there.
I just started rewatching Entourage the other day.
Banger show, maybe a little bit dated, but it's so fun to watch. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like about it, but we're not reviewing Entourage in this episode.
Right.
Just
It's
giving
an
my
important
thoughts. Here.
relic of the past, though.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Anyways, I think we're good now to move on after that really embarrassing segment there. Who knows if that'll even make the final cut? No, I'm joking. Our meat and potatoes here, real quickly, we want to talk about reboot economics, kind of after fatigue. So an interesting quote I want to bring up at the headline of this is James Gunn, who is, obviously the helm of the DC universe now as it relates to films, and just came out with Superman, directed and wrote it himself, or with a team of people, but like his name's on it. And he came out with a quote that said, I don't think people have, and this is not verbatim, so don't me a new one if this isn't exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, I don't think people have superhero fatigue. I think they have mediocre movie fatigue. And that's something that I've kind of been saying for a long time. I think a lot of big brands think that they can just slap a label on something, give it like half effort, rush it through post-production, especially, all the effects and everything, give it to an audience and they'll just eat it up because it has that name or label on it, which is it's not conducive to an audience actually enjoying content long term. You can throw slop in front of somebody, but over time, the more you do that, the less meaningful it is and the less, the audience is going to take to it. And I think in large part, it's harder to keep attention now in general, just because of, the majority of audiences have been on phones now for a while and they can just get anything at the touch of the finger. So it's a little bit difficult to maintain attention when, short form content and everything like that. You can get something new every 10 seconds. So a 2-hour movie, you really got to try harder. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that start to trickle in, but that's been a problem, So either way, some key points I wanted to touch on, and then I'll hand this over to you guys. Why studios kind of cling to legacy brands. There's a lot of reasons there, but there's some nuance there as well. 2 is the fatigue signals. So what kinds of things come out and you're like, well, that's not going to do good. Some bright spots in there, some movies that are like, wow, that was actually, I'm impressed. And then we're each going to give our kind of rule for a justified reboot. What do we think justifies a reboot and I don't mean like a sequel sense. I mean like a full franchise reboot. Like if Marvel were to scrap everything and start over at Iron Man, what would that look like? So yeah, I guess I'll hand it over to you guys and we can discuss for the next few minutes and talk about what we think here. But I think I made my thoughts pretty clear about it.
Yeah, I think reboots are important. I think people like watching what they know. I think people like talking about what they know. And at the end of the day, it's the film business, because it is a business. So that's just my initial thought. Specifically we were talking about Forrest Gump earlier. I think specifically why would we need to make a reboot of Forrest Gump? I don't think they're ever going to, but just because that is such a piece of that's Americana at this point. That's such a piece of American cinema. Why would we need to do it? Are people getting drafted again? Are people protesting a massive war? Are there people dying of HIV and AIDS again? Maybe if there's a reason for us to remake a movie, then maybe. But there's not too many times that you need a total reboot. Maybe a re-release would be good in those instances, but I don't know. I'm a truist I believe that like most of the time, most movies are good to live where they lie. Unless it's a cash grab, there's really not a need to remake many movies.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that. I think we talked about this before on the podcast where it's like if you reboot something or remake it, you kind of almost want to update it so like the new generation is like kind of learning something new almost in a sense, but you don't want to like go too far away from the original script because then it's like a whole new movie. But yeah, like you said, like if there's something going on with the times and it gives you a reason to almost remake that movie, then yeah, like why not remake it? But at the end of the day, I think a lot of these studios are really just remaking these movies for money, um, and that allows them to almost put more um, like risk on other original films, and maybe they're not making as much on the original films, and that's just because uh, I don't know, different ways of marketing and trying to push people to get to go to those movies. But a lot of the times people go to the films they know because they want to see how they change it or what difference did they make in the movie than the original.
Yeah. I think even more specifically, like, I think that there's no need for the remake because you can just make something original that accomplishes the same goal. What was it? A little while back, they released Ocean's 8, which was the all-female version of the Oceans series anthology. I love Oceans. I liked Oceans 8. But my thing is with it, and I spoke with some people about it, just chit-chatting about it, if you're going to make an all-female heist movie, just make an all-women's heist movie. Create
Right.
something original so they have their own, like, that'd be really cool. We don't need an Ocean's 8 for just because we're, I don't know, trying to refresh it. Just make a totally badass movie led by women, led by the best, biggest actresses, the exact same cast, and have them complete a heist.
Like there was some of like the Ocean's 11 cast in the Ocean's 8, right? Or no?
Yeah, they had it was in the same universe,
Yeah.
and that's so cool. But
Yeah. It's kind of like, so it's cool, right? But like maybe a subtle nod would have been better, right? Like it's in the same universe, but it's not overtly in your face, like titled the same and everything. Kind of like how Split was in the same universe as Unbreakable, but you didn't know that until the very end. Like that's a
Yeah.
cool thing. That's a little cool nod. Like maybe at the end, one of them walks past George Clooney's character or something, and that's just like, oh, that was happening, but it's titled something totally different and approached differently because that was kind of going to be my point, right? Like if you're going to reboot something, what's the reason for it? The times have changed. You want to make something different. The way things happen in the movie don't happen anymore. It's not the reality for the people watching it. So obviously, a lot of movies are timeless. Like I can go back and watch Vertigo right now, and I don't feel a disconnect because Hitchcock was a genius, A, and B, because it's just a good movie. And regardless if the things that I'm looking at are a little dated, I still enjoy it. It's still a good movie. But I understand, there has to be stories made in the present day too, because art is part of the best things about art is that it does capture the time that it was created in. And it's a little bit of a time capsule once it's kind of released and finalized. But for me, I totally agree. A reboot just for the sake of rebooting it and doing that is 100% a cash grab. Slapping the same title on a new movie that just has different characters and all this other stuff, like it makes no sense to me. Like I don't get it. Like just make something new, set it aside. That way, you're not cannibalizing on the old film. Like you're not taking some, like diverting the fan base. Like, oh, now some people like this one better, some people like this one. Why can't people just like both? Like why can't both coexist instead of trying to replace one with the other or vice versa? And that's been my issue with a lot of the things that come out. But I understand from the studio perspective. Obviously, there's a lot of safety in slapping a label on it. People will show up. Like Jurassic, for example, if they just called that Dinosaur World, like people would not show up, because we saw with Adam Driver's 65, was it called, a few years ago, that movie bombed. I would venture to say most people probably listening to this haven't even seen it. I saw it in theaters because that's me. I see everything in theaters. I like the theaters. And it was a pretty decent movie. I mean, the CGI was up to par with Jurassic, smaller budget and, more isolated character in a sense, but nobody cared. So it's not the dinosaurs that are the draw, it's the Jurassic name that's the draw. Because obviously, like we were talking about, Jurassic World Rebirth is a reboot. It is a reboot in every sense of the word, because it doesn't have Chris Pratt or the old people in it, or Bryce Dallas Howard, or any of them. It has Scarlett Johansson. It has, I'm blanking on the other guy's name, Mahershala Ali. It has a new cast, and so it's a step in a new direction. And from that, I get it, right? Like, they went from Jurassic Park to Jurassic World, and now they're still on Jurassic World. It's a little bit weird the way that they're doing things, but I mean, the results are speaking for themselves as to why they're doing it, so it's not a mystery to me. But I wish there was a little bit more creativity in these boardrooms, that, people are like, maybe we can inspire a new generation of fans, just like, Spielberg did with the first Jurassic Park. How can we make something different and interesting, usher in a new wave of these types of films, instead of just riding the coattails of something released, 30 years ago, which is still brilliant to this day, mind you. Like, the first Jurassic is still the best Jurassic, and I don't think that'll ever change, just because of what it meant. And seeing those dinosaurs on the screen for the first time when they get to the park is just like peak cinema moment. And then the T-Rex when they're in the car, that scene, I mean, unforgettable. But if you ask me what happened in the Jurassic movie before this last one that came out, couldn't tell you. Have no idea, because it's just so forgettable and it all blends together after a while. And I think that is the real risk that you run. Like, yes, this one is doing good, but if they release 10 more, I venture to say at some point the performance starts to taper off, because it just becomes so repetitive and monotonous. So it's not a foolproof long time solution. And I think, it's imperative that new and original ideas are brought to the table. So obviously that's kind of our whole thing. We want to make sure that we're doing that and bringing good scripts. Like, I think if you don't have a good script, you don't have a good movie. I mean, period, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good it looks. It doesn't matter how good the graphics are, or the effects or anything. If the script is bad, the movie's going to be bad. And that's just, but unfortunately, a lot of movies, they start getting made before the script is even finalized, right? Like, the script undergoes a bunch of rewrites and stuff all the way up to, and even during production. And it's not just like small little red lines and things like that. It's like full-blown story changes. So anyways, back to the point. My rule for a justified reboot would be, it has to capture something new that the old one didn't, in a way that the old one didn't, and also be complementary to the old one, not in an effort to replace it. So that would be the only way it would make sense for me. And I think it's good to broaden the universe and perspectives within it. So anyways, yeah, I think we covered that pretty good. I appreciate you guys' opinions on that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. So that wraps up our meat and potatoes segment of today. Unfortunately, Marshall had to leave. He had some prior obligations, so he's not going to be able to wrap this up with us. But we really appreciate his time, and hopefully we can have him on some more. I think everyone will see, as we do, that he brings a lot of unique insight that we, as newcomers to the industry, aren't super up to tune on, or as able to do so. So it's just a different perspective to hear from, and a welcome one at that. All around, he's a great guy. We really enjoy having him on the team. Truly, we can't say enough great things about him. But moving on, we are back to our review segment. So if you guys recall, when we first started this, we did 3 movies per 2-week cycle on the podcast. Unfortunately, the last 4 podcast episodes, which is a lot considering there's only 8 out right now, we weren't able to do 3. It's hard to see 3 movies in 2 weeks, apparently. It sounds like it shouldn't be, but it is. But this time we do have 3 for you. 3 really good ones. 3 movies that we enjoyed quite a bit, and they're big, big movies. So for starters, let's just dive right into the first one. Had a lot of, helmet cam immersion. You had the whole aging champion archetype. Was only about 150 to 160 minutes. 2.5-ish hours. It's a long movie, but it's a good one, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat the whole time. Joseph Kosinski, damn, that guy is good. Calling back to Top Gun Maverick. I mean, really, this is Top Gun Maverick all over again. Kind of has the old guy, young buck, loud vehicle event where the old guy has to step up to, look after the younger guy, the mentorship kind of relationship. I would say the one between Damson Idris's Joshua Pierce and Brad Pitt's Sonny Hayes is a little bit different than Maverick and Rooster, or really Maverick and anybody else in Top Gun. I would say it's a little bit different. It's a little more tense. Brad Pitt's character, Sonny, is kind of an ass to Joshua, but also vice versa. They're just more disrespectful to each other, especially initially. But I like that. I like that because they're arrogant, they're F1 drivers, and their egos kind of trip over one another. I think that's a good thing for the story. It's a damn good movie. The driving scenes are absolutely nuts. the sound and music and mixing, it's all so good. Brad Pitt killed it. Damson Idris killed it. Kerry Condon killed it. Everybody killed it. The relationships in the movie were aside from the driving, some of the best parts, especially between the two drivers, which I think is a unique thing because F1 is where one of the only like two person sports or two person per team type of sports, and the different track locations, how it kind of went through the whole rest of the season. And another person to mention, Javier Bardem, great job. I really like how technical they got for some of the portions, like the maneuverability of the vehicle, the defensibility of the vehicle, the tuning, tire swaps and pit crews and all that kind of stuff. I like how they were kind of faithful to, it wasn't incredibly realistic. There was still some movie stuff going on, but for the most part, it was a really, really good movie for accuracy and things like that. And like I said, man, I can't mention this film without mentioning the driving scenes. So good. It just kept you on the edge of your seat the whole time. So Joseph Kosinski, man, you own the summer the last like 4 years. You had a couple years of a break in there, but you released 2 bangers on the outside of it. So with Top Gun and F1, I think, it's time to start giving you the respect that you deserve, my man. Great job. This is a summer tentpole banger. It's going to make a lot of money, and rightfully so. I gave it a 5 out of 5, only because I gave Top Gun a 5 out of 5, and I honestly thought they were like just as good. I might bump it down to like a 4.5 just because there were some parts I was like a little iffy, but either way, damn good. Interested to hear what you think because you saw this like right after I did as well.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it, like the team aspect. Like you don't really see that too much, obviously, when they pit. Like when you're actually watching a real race, you see them pit for like 2 seconds, maybe, and so it really shows that team sport and how the pit crew can really help you win a race. And it really brought out the strategy. I know Sonny kind of had that like almost dangerous and kind of reckless strategies almost in a lot of the races just to like help the team out. But it was really cool to kind of see them bring like the pit crew in a lot of the scenes. And yeah, I liked it. I definitely won't rank it as high as you. I think I'll give it like a 4.3. But I really liked it. One thing I heard about the film was that they couldn't actually use F1 cars. They used F2 cars and they like built them to look like F1 cars, but it was just so expensive to rent. And that's just something like I feel like in production that like it's an easy way to kind of save money and it still looked fantastic, and it's just really cool to see like little details like that really make the movie great.
Oh yeah. And there's a lot of magic that went into this. Another thing I really liked was that they had the real drivers like in the movie, like
Yeah.
Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton and Leclerc and all those guys. They were just there because a lot of the filming that happened was at the real races. Something interesting, Marshall actually mentioned the Vegas race happened during the writer's strike. So they had to, or the actor strike, the SAG-AFTRA strikes. So they had to go back and kind of film that. And that was one of the weakest parts of the movie for me. I feel like the Vegas race was so fast and like honestly meaningless in a way, but I understand wanting to have it because it's a huge spectacle of an event. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, we can move on to the next one though. Phenomenal movie. If you haven't seen it, recommend. F1 is great.
Yeah, so the second one that we're reviewing is Jurassic World Rebirth, Survivor, horror tilt, Scarlett and Ollie chemistry, fresh cast versus nostalgia, ROI. I really liked it. I think this is one of those films that does have the IP to kind of back it, to really like boost it up. Like you were saying earlier in the podcast, it's probably not as good as the original Jurassic Park film, but it still has that almost like feel to it, and the dinosaurs look real. Like that's one of those things that like if they didn't look real, then the movie would be terrible. But it does look horrifying, like the mutant dinosaurs chasing you, like trying to I forget what it was exactly, but it was a mutant that could fly, and it was like squeezing through like the cages and stuff. It's terrifying,
Yeah, that shit was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. There were definitely parts that were like goofy, and that just comes down to writing, and you can't really blame the actors too much. I think for what they're given, it's a fantastic film. I think I gave it like a 3.9 out of 5. I don't know what all I would change to it. I think there's definitely some things that could have been changed, but off the top of my head, it's hard to find a specific moment. But yeah, all in all, I liked it. So What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. So kind of, I thought that I went into it, I didn't know what to expect, right? The last couple Jurassic movies for me just did not hit the mark. I think they tried to really play into nostalgia with Dominion, and it just fell completely flat. I mean, you can't just bring back the old characters, put them in a shitty story, and make the movie good. That's not how it works. But this one was pretty solid. It was carried by a good cast, particularly by that, obviously, Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali. Phenomenal, those two. The guy that played the like scientist guy was also really good. I enjoyed him as well.
Yeah.
I forget his name in real life, but he was quite good. The dinos, like you said, look really good. You know, they never fall short in a Jurassic movie with that, especially because they know that's the whole appeal. And my theater got a ton of laughs. Like it was a pretty lighthearted, funny movie, and a lot of parts of it. Especially the kind of secondary family that we were following through the movie. The daughter's boyfriend. That
Yeah.
guy got laughs every single time because he was kind of like he had a lot of redemption, but like there was a part
Yeah.
where he definitely should have died.
It was when he left to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, he was peeing and there was like a
And the
raptor right behind him, and then that
two
bird thing. Oh
two
yeah, yeah.
raptors.
Yeah, he was cooked, bro. He should have died for sure, but he didn't. You know, somehow he lived. I thought he was cooked. The plot at this point feels a little bit convoluted. Like we're seeing some variation of the same exact storyline every single time we watch, you know, a Jurassic movie, which is a little, you know, what neither here or there. Kind of like you said, it's not the actor's fault, it's the writing. It's kind of like, oh, company was doing something they shouldn't have been doing, experimental, you know, caused a bunch of issues down the line. That's kind of the formulaic story that they tell each and every time. But overall, it was a solid watch. It'll have good legs at the box office, like we already mentioned. It already is because it's a Jurassic movie. And my showing was absolutely packed. My favorite thing in the movie when they finally revealed like the Rex hybrid thing at the end. You know, it was teased at the beginning because the guy got trapped in there with it, and he was like, "Open the door."
Yeah.
And then it kind of like grabbed him, and like that was like the whole. It was playing into the horror aspect. A guy was literally like, when they saw it, because it had like 4 arms and was just looking super goofy and the head just looked weird, he was like literally loud as hell in the theater. He's like, what the fuck is that? I was dying, dude. Normally
That's
I hate when
hilarious.
people talk at the movie, but that was so funny to me. But with this one, this was the go ahead.
After he said it, he was probably like, "Oh shit, that was way too loud."
But it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Again, there's some things that fell flat, but you know, the interactions with the dinosaurs, including even the little girl and her little friendly dinosaur that she had.
Yeah.
The whole raft scene was a little bit weird because they all should have died there with the Rex like swimming, and dude, he swam fast as hell too.
Yeah. That was cool. That was a cool scene.
It was cool, but it was like, dude,
I'm
none of them
surprised
should have survived.
I thought what was gonna happen at the end was he was gonna show up to try and like, well, they kind of had that in one of the past films, so I'm glad they didn't. But you know how in one of the past films the T-Rex came and like ended up fighting the other dinosaur, and like they ended
Yeah.
up getting away because they were fighting. So I thought that's what was gonna happen, but
Yeah, and that kind of made the T-Rex like pay off as like, oh, our savior, and then now it's right back to being the bad guy again. But it's okay. It's a T-Rex. It's a primal animal. There's nothing
Mhm.
inherently bad about it. It's just like doing what its instincts tell it to do. One thing that was a little weird to me, especially on like the boat scene when they were getting the Mosa, they would go from like one moment of triumph, like they finally got the dart to get the blood or whatever and extract and fly up, and they got it, and then 2 minutes later there's Spinos like climbing on the boat and killing people. I'm like, dude,
Mhm.
what's up with that? And then they have to crash the boat. Like I don't.
yeah,
Was dumb.
it was very fast paced.
Yeah, and it felt like they didn't have any time to be like happy about anything.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you know,
maybe
with
they
the,
did have stuff like that, and then they just ended up deciding to cut it and post because, I mean, the film would have been 3 hours if they had stuff like that.
No, that's fair. And then the main guy that like organized everything when he died, and they took his arm, and like because the main guy ate him, the main dino ate him. That was hilarious. But overall, I'm giving it a 3.5. I think it was good. Was it the best movie I've ever seen? No. Are dinosaurs cool? Hell yeah. So that carries a lot
Yeah.
of weight.
I think one thing that helped my ranking was something like our buddy Corbin talked about, was that like it's dinosaurs in like almost like a natural habitat. Like
Oh yeah.
they only can survive in near the equator, and so this is like where they were like meant to be, almost in this new world. And so it's just cool to kind of see humans almost interfering with their like natural habitats, because obviously they're not, like, it's illegal for them to go there. But yeah, like them like trying to hunt down this. What was it exactly? I know it was for like science, but
So they were trying to
was it
solve
stem
some,
cell? Was it stem cells?
yeah, something like that. They were
Yeah,
trying to cure some diseases, and they needed that from the big Goliath dino. So it was a
yeah, because of the heart.
Quetzalcoatl, which is like the flying, the mosasaur, which is the water. I forget what the land one was.
I think it was for like cardiovascular because it was each dinosaur that they chose was like they lived over 100 years.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it was the Titanosaur. It was the big
Yeah,
one that they got on the land with the tails, and they were in the
the
field, and they,
herbivore. Yeah,
yeah, that was a cool scene. See
I
that?
thought I thought the scientist was gonna get crushed.
Oh yeah, that would have been funny, but also not funny. I thought he was gonna die when he fell all that distance. Remember?
But yeah,
I was like, okay, this guy's got some serious plot armor, but it's fine. Yeah, 3.5. Watch it if you haven't. It's good. I mean, you won't be disappointed, but don't go into it thinking like it's going to be the best movie ever, because it's not. But seldom is a movie that you see going to be the best movie ever. Otherwise, every movie would be the best movie ever, which doesn't make any sense. Moving on, though, we'll go to our third and final one. This is the most recent one. I'm fresh off of this. Saw it 3 days ago.
I saw it
Superman.
last night.
Hell yeah, man. So this was my most anticipated movie. You know, aside from Fantastic Four, which comes out in a couple weeks, I'm really excited for that one too. But of these three, this is the one I was most excited to see. And I really liked this. I think it was well done. It's a lot different. You know, that was kind of the point, but it's a lot different than the brooding approach taken by the Snyder DC universe, which kind of felt a lot more grounded in a way. This one is kind of unapologetically fantastical. It has like giant creatures and lots of colors, and it doesn't feel like our world necessarily. It feels like a fictional world, but that's okay because you kind of get to escape to that world in a way. It plays into the best parts of superheroes, and in particular Superman and what he stands for, kind of inspiring hope and all that kind of stuff. You know, there's a lot of moments when the theme is a little kind of on the nose, which it can make it a little bit hard to be really immersed, because it's like there's a scene towards the end where Superman's like, yeah, I stand for hope and justice and all this. And I'm like, why would he ever actually say that? Like, I mean, it's supposed to be like implied, but I don't think, you know, it sounds a little bit arrogant or maybe even like narcissistic to be like, oh, I am hope. I am justice, you know?
I see what you're saying, but it's almost like he was getting like backlash from the video of his parents coming out, you know?
No,
So,
no,
I mean,
I get that. I do. But it's like also at the same time, it just didn't feel like a legitimate, like if superheroes really existed, I'm not sure Superman, one that's raised on this planet, it almost makes him feel more out of touch, right? Like if he's already going out of, if he's already under a lot of fire because of that video and everything, then why is he going out of his way to just say otherwise? Like,
yeah, like he's almost like saying like some stuff that like people want to hear almost, which
right.
like
And
can almost seem fake.
And I get it from the movie perspective. It's like his shining moment and whatever. But
Yeah.
like that aside, though, there's a few goofy scenes in there, but visually the visuals were spectacular. I loved all the suits. The fight scenes were mostly pretty good. Like I said, few goofy ones in there. Few times where the shot just didn't work for me, but you can look past that. There was one scene in the middle with Mr. Terrific where he puts Lois Lane in kind of like a bubble, and then he just kicks a lot of ass. Like that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and unbeknowingly, like Mr. Terrific ended up becoming one of my favorite characters in the film, which was, you know, something I didn't expect. So the performances were really awesome. Edie Gathegi, like I just mentioned, I probably just butchered his name, but he played Mr. Terrific, which is kind of a full circle because he played Darwin in X-Men First Class. They killed him. He's supposed to be like the only unkillable guy. They killed him. So they kind of did him dirt the last time he was in a superhero movie. So I'm glad that they kind of, Superman gave him a chance to redeem himself there. But then obviously David Corn Sweat, that guy is Superman now. He did a great job. I was iffy on the casting at first. I saw it, but I didn't see it, you know what I mean? And Nicholas Hoult, same thing. I wasn't sure how he'd be as Lex, but I really enjoyed him as Lex. And as lighthearted as the movie was, there were some things that Lex did which were majorly messed up, and it kind of just brushes over them. But that shows, I mean, there's still some grounded stakes. It's not all just easy go, easy come, easy go, you know? You know, the casting was all great. Rachel Brosnan as Lois was great. Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen was hilarious. I like the little subplot that he was like low-key a player and had all these women after him and stuff. I thought that was hilarious.
I thought that was so random.
It was random.
Two girls were like, "He's so fine." I was like, "What?"
It is random, but it's so funny, honestly. And then James Gunn, honestly, fantastic job. Should be trusted directing superhero films forever. So overall, this is a great way to kick off the new DC universe. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. Obviously, Supergirl is next, and we got a little hint of what that'll look like at the end. And then, the biggest thing going forward, I think, between Superman would be nailing the contrast with Batman, because Batman has to be more grounded. Gotham City is a more brooding place. Honestly, and I might be in the minority for this, a lot of people don't agree. I wouldn't mind Pattinson being the DCU Batman. I know currently they're trying to cast somebody else, but I wouldn't mind it being Pattinson. I think if done right, it could be done really well. The problem with the DCEU is that they messed up by rushing into a team up movie because it's what the Avengers were doing at the time. The Avengers built it up over a series of individual movies. Ben Affleck's first appearance as Batman was in a team up movie. So BVS came right after Man of Steel. Batman never got a standalone movie in the DC universe, which is crazy. It featured The Flash and Wonder Woman also. So you add Aquaman and Cyborg, that's Justice League in the second movie in the universe. I mean, that's flat out, that's unacceptable. To me, if they were to integrate Pattinson, I think they'd need to give him, ample time to grow first. In the Batman, he's still really young. He hasn't quite mastered the kind of dichotomy or dual identity of being Batman, but also being Bruce Wayne. He's still like a super depressed and angry young adult, just, a really rich one. Batman in the Justice League or Batman in a team up setting is traditionally, older, wiser, kind of a leader in a sense, more in his 30s. He's not his early 20s. He's kind of a strategist and detective at heart, the world's greatest detective and one of the smartest people in the room at all times. So with proper development, Pattinson could become this. They shouldn't rush it though. And it's also a bit cannibalizing in a way to have two concurrent Batman rather going on at the continuity at the same time, because people who aren't like paying close attention are going to get confused, right? Like they're going to be like, well, how does this guy fit? So this one's there and this one's not. I don't really understand. Obviously, people like me that watch all these, I'll get it, but like, I understand that I don't speak for the general audience. Anyways, I went on a ramble there. All that really doesn't have much to do with this movie. It was really great. The chemistry between the actors was good. It's a great launch pad for the future of the universe. And I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
That's up there. I think I'll give it around 4.3. Yeah, I really liked it. I think the way they had Superman like flying, I really liked his scenes when he was flying. Like you almost like could feel like the rush of the air on the camera, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could see there was like an effect almost on the camera, especially the scene when Luthor released the video of his parents that was damaged. He like flew back to his secret base, like probably the fastest he flew in the whole film, and he was like going through like different weathers. Like I thought that was really cool just to see the change. And there's just like a lot of little details that I liked.
Well, Mr. Terrific?
Yeah, Mr. Terrific. I thought when they first showed up, I thought his character was not gonna be that tough. And then like you said, the scene where he put Lois Lane in like the box or whatever, he went crazy hard in that. And I was like, that's a good scene because he really kind of showed his true potential. And then obviously like he saved Superman from the what's it called, the other dimension or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Those are pretty cool scenes because it kind of almost allowed for like Luthor to really be in secret, because in a day with like a lot of digital technology, it's hard to kind of keep your plan secret, and especially traveling everywhere. And he made it super easy to travel in like 2 seconds because of the dimension. Like he would just go through the dimension and then pop up in another portal. So like stuff like that was really cool to see how he could really plan everything out. And yeah, I liked the film all in all, 4.3. So
Yeah. Some closing notes on that one. The score was really, really good. I liked the Superman theme. I know we've had access to that for a while now. They released it well ahead of the movie's release, but the sound was really good. I liked the opening a lot. Because it was like 30 years ago he came to the planet. 3 years ago he became Superman. 3 days ago or 3 months ago, whatever. And it got all the way up to 3 minutes ago or something like that. He lost a fight for the first time. And that's kind of where it opened. It throws you right into the action because he gets Crypto to pull him. And that's another thing, Crypto, super cool. I like having the dog, and he was kind of like an asshole of a dog, but that was kind of his shtick, so that was awesome. I enjoyed it a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was one thing that I forgot to mention is I think they did a really good job of like putting in a lot of comic aspects in the film that like somebody who doesn't read comics or like keep up with a lot of these superhero films, it allowed for like almost like a lot of world building of like what's going on. You know, like if you're not really too much into superhero films, like this one really like builds everything up and allows you to kind of like watch it and not be as confused as some other films.
Oh yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with that. But yeah, everybody, that's it for the review. I know this episode was kind of a little bit all over the place. We had to cut multiple times because we had some other conflicting meetings, but it was good stuff. You know, we talked about high stakes in between, you know, the pod here. I hope our audio is meaningfully improved. We're going to keep working on tweaking that, you know, the mixing and the equalizer and everything like that to make sure everything sounds crystal clear. I think Carson's next upgrade would be a webcam, maybe a better place to sit. And then my next upgrade would be getting this bad boy, this new Sony FX30, getting in a nice little capture card so I can use that as my webcam and improve that as well. Kind of along those lines, Amazon Prime Day was very generous to me. Actually, not at all, because I spent a ton of money. It wasn't free. But we've got a lot of things to kind of amp up our content game. Some Rode Wireless Pro lavalier microphones. Like I just mentioned, the FX30. It's not, you know, the top of the line cinema camera, but it's pretty damn good for what it is. You know, we got batteries and SD cards, and obviously the microphone I mentioned. This is a Shure microphone. I've got it on an arm now, so it's not just like sitting on my desk. Carson, I think, didn't buy a stand, so he's just literally holding his. There's no stand that comes with it, apparently. I didn't even realize that when I first bought, but that's fine. And then I've got some other goodies on the way, some lighting and camera cage, a handle, all this kind of stuff, because we really want to get into making some shorts content that we can share with you all to show you kind of our work before we get into the feature production, which obviously, you know, it takes a lot of time to polish and get ready for people. So we're hoping we can get some things out to you guys faster to show you kind of what we're about and the kinds of things we like to make and the kinds of things we're good at. You know, that aside, you know, we really, really always appreciate the support. Thank you so much. We apologize for the absence, but we're going to get back on a regular routine starting this week. You know, as always, you know how to support us. We're at Offbend on Instagram, at Offbend on YouTube, and then at Offbend Studios everywhere else. That's TikTok, Twitter/X, and basically any other social media that you can find. And then, you know, if you want to join our membership program, we recently are overhauling it. It's actually going live tomorrow when this podcast is posted, so you'll be able to see this. But the new membership program has a lot of different perks. We've re-strategized how that looks. So the site is different, but also just in general, the alignment of the perks is a little bit different. So then the new perks are as follows. You get a $5 monthly credit that can be in your form of a gift card for anything. So eventually this will turn into an off-bend shop credit, but we understand right now there's not a lot of things in there that, you know, are super unique. You know, you buy one thing, you don't need to buy anything again, but that $5 credit will be usable. You know, you can do it at a movie theater, AMC, Regal, Cinemark, or you can do it on like a streaming or VOD platform, so Amazon Prime or Apple TV. We're going to keep it to just those 5 for now. We might expand later. And then, like I said, eventually we'll maybe raise the credit amount and apply it directly to our store balance is the end goal. But the popcorn rebate still exists. You'll be able to get free popcorn at the movie. So now you can get part of your ticket paid for and also free popcorn for the low price of just $9.99 a month or $89.99 per year. In addition to that, you are an inside member of our community, so you can join our Instagram close friend story where we're going to be sharing behind the scenes content, especially as we ramp up into production. You can join our Discord to converse directly with us, vote on upcoming projects, and just be more involved in the process as a whole. There's going to be some exclusive things shared in there. You get a 12% shop discount just by being a member, so that's automatically applied in the store. So if you were thinking about buying anything in the store, this is a great way to save some money there. And then, you know, along those lines, all the softwares that we release, we're building some creator tooling. Our first one is released now. It's called Sides at trysides.com. If you are an aspiring actor and you're submitting self-tape auditions, you can go to trysides.com and get direct feedback on your self-tapes to make sure that you're submitting the best copy each and every time. But that's just one example. The OB7 membership now encompasses discounts or free licenses for this software, so you don't have to pay in addition. This OB7 will kind of cover the entire Offbend ecosystem. So we're super excited to roll that out. And then as well as that, you're going to get a nice little Apple Wallet membership card. We're getting that set up as well. So we're super stoked about the future of that membership. And as it continues to grow and morph into something that we love having, and the community continues to grow and give us feedback on everything. But that's a great way to get involved. And then obviously the shop, if you want to get some merchandise, we're planning to drop some new releases soon. And yeah, so, and then other than that, just spreading the word, letting people know that, hey, these guys are really doing this and they really mean it and they really care. It means the world to us because we want this more than anything. We want to make sure that film has some real champions and not just a bunch of people who are in it for the money. So yeah, without further ado, man, I'll let Carson give his closing. And one more thing I want to say before I kind of wrap it up is thank you again to Marshall. Guy's awesome. Seriously, we made the best decision ever bringing him onto the team. Truly incredible. But yeah, I'll let Carson go ahead and add his thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the support. Every listen to the podcast, every like and follow on all our social medias helps and goes a long way. And any type of support you can give us is greatly appreciated. And we definitely won't forget the people that started out with us. And thank you so much. But Hayden, you said something about you were gonna say the GoFundMe for the.
Oh yes. Let me see here. I got the link.
I just wanted to add that before.
So, I'm not really sure how much me saying the link on here will actually help, but like I said, I will be linking this. It is gofundme.com/f/urgent-help-Kerrville, Kerrville-recover-from-flooding. Currently, it's kind of a small fundraiser, but any amount helps. Like I said, this GoFundMe was set up early on the morning of July 4th. The Kerrville floods are really devastating a lot of people's lives down there, and it's really tragic what's happening. So please, if you can find it in your heart to support, it means a lot to the cause and helping people out who have had their entire worlds turned upside down because of some environmental event. Everything goes a long way in a situation like that. So I'm going to be personally making a donation. I urge everybody to do the same. And obviously Offbend as a whole sends out our condolences and really means it too, right? We're not just saying that to have a public image, right? Like we truly feel for all of the victims and the families that have been devastated by these floods. And we're hoping and praying that everything is kind of resolved swiftly. And there's some things that are never going to be fixed, and families that are never going to be whole again. And we wish nothing but the best in the recovery efforts for those families and everybody involved. So yeah, like I said, that again is gofundme.com/f/urgent-help-Kerrville-recover-from-flooding. I'll be sharing this link. Please go provide some funds. And yeah, so on that note, I think that's it from us today. Thank you all again so much for watching, and we'll see you at the movies.
See ya.